is up, everybody? You know who it is. Your allies behind enemy lines coming at you on this beautiful Friday. Dropping the latest and greatest heat. As always, make sure you're subscribed here on YouTube. If that's where you watch us, ring that notification bell. You can find us anywhere podcasts are found: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all that good stuff. Make sure wherever you find us, wherever you listen to us, you subscribe, rate, review, all that good stuff. Give us a good shout out. Got a lot of good stuff planned today. Plenty of stuff going on in free agency. It's full-on speculation season. Obviously, we're going to continue our mock draft that we've been doing. There are going to be some changes. I don't know about Joey, but I'm going to make a little bit of a change to my mock draft here. I spiced it up a little bit and go in a direction I thought we should have gone before, but I'll just tease that there. But Joey, how's it going so far, man? Have you had a good week so far?
Yeah, it's going well, man. A happy Friday to you. It's been a pretty productive week. As you say, we're right before the beginning of the franchise tag deadline, and so we're going to see a lot of massacres. I think they're going to call it. It's going to be a bloodbath, as I think a lot of analysts are calling it for next week as far as cuts. But I'm ready for that, man. I'm ready for this weekend. But thanks for asking.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like I said, it's about to get dicey. With the salary cap going down, there's been a lot of cap casualties. One of them that happened for us became official. We talked about it on Monday that it was probably going to happen, became official earlier this morning. Alex Smith is no longer with the Washington football team. We wish him the best. Hopefully he is able to land on his feet somewhere and continue his career the way he wants to. But, unfortunately for him, it won't be with the Washington football team. So now we got that out of the way. We're right around $50 million of cap space, which not a lot of teams, a lot of teams are cutting guys to make cap space to get under the cap. We didn't see a fit for Alex Smith here, so we cut him just to free up some cap space to be able to go make some big free agent signings, which I don't know about you, but I think there's some guys that we could go after in a couple key spots, and maybe that changes our draft a little bit.
It does, and I think also as well, we saw yesterday, I think it was yesterday or the day before, that Thomas Davis did retire, and that's actually freeing up some cap space as well. So I think we're sitting closer to $55 million right now.
Oh, nice.
So and I don't think we're done. To tell you the truth, I don't think we're done with some cuts. I think that some names like Peyton Barber, possibly Bryce Love. Josh Harvey Clemens, I know, has been rumored to be on the block. Possibly Steven Sims. You talk about getting rid of some of those names right there. Guys that really hadn't really produced the way we wanted to produce this year. You're talking about another $5 million right there. So more cuts could be coming. As you said earlier, it's going to be a massacre with the salary cap dropping, with the revenues being down a lot. The thing is, it's going to be a buyer's market. It's one of those times where prices are going to be low because these guys that are on their second year, they're bigger, looking for that bigger contract. There's not going to be money to be doing those. So the money they're going to be looking for is not going to be out there. So money they would have ordinarily probably got if it was a regular year last year, the salary caps had advanced, is not going to be out there. But that's to our favor because we are saving account in salary cap space right now. So it is much more of a buyer's market. So we go out there and get some bargain deals on some of these guys that probably would be out of our price range.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Yeah, it is going to be a buyer's market because for all the reasons you stated there. So if you do have a good chunk of space to make a move, I think this is the perfect time for us to make a big splash in free agency. Obviously second year under Ron Rivera. We have a new regime as far as GM, president of operations, things like that. We like I said on Monday, we set that bar of making the playoffs, and now to exceed that bar, this is a perfect opportunity to add those pieces in free agency, add those pieces in the draft, and really take that big leap forward to not just barely winning division or winning division with a sub 500 record, but actually taking that division and hopefully maybe getting double-digit wins, for this season for the first time in what seems like forever. I absolutely agree. There's some big names out there that we can make some adjustments, make some signings that would really improve certain position groups. There's quite a few corners I've been seeing that got released. Desmond Trufant is one of them that came to mind. He was just released the other day. Linebackers. So, spots that we thought we might have to rely on the draft. Now all these names are coming up. These guys are being released of proven veteran players at certain spots that could really improve and really help our team, both offensively and defensively.
Definitely. There's a ton of names that are out there and a ton of names. And, it's with that franchise tag deadline being on, I think it's Monday or Tuesday. A lot more players that we don't even know about might be available, and they've talked about, I know Trent Brown's name has been in rumors for trade. So there's line help. You got Levante David out there. There's linebacker help. There's cornerback help out there. There's safety help out there. There's tight end help out there. I don't know what they're going to do with T.J. Hawkinson in Detroit. I don't know what's going to go. What's going to happen with Hunter Henry and with the Chargers. Are they going to double franchise tag him? It's gonna be a crazy next week. A lot of names. A lot of names that you don't see as being. Odell Beckham's probably around that threshold too. Of someone that I think his level and below. What I should say perceived level and below is probably what you're gonna look at. These guys right here who are gonna be people that you ordinarily would be a lock for their roster are not gonna be out there. So what is I'm not gonna. It's not gonna too far into this, but if there's a couple, and we've talked about wide receivers, we've talked about Allen Robinson. I think I've talked about Curtis Samuel. What are some names out there that you? Just give me 3 names that you think that come in here and make an instant impact on this team.
Well, I'm gonna look at the cornerback position. So the first name that jumps out at me is AJ Bouye. I hope I'm saying that name right. Bouye. He was obviously part of the big defensive push in Jacksonville. Spent some time with Denver last year as a free agent. 30 years old, so a little bit on the older side, but I think he's a guy that could come in and help right away. I mentioned Desmond Trufant. He's also kind of an older guy, 31 years old. But again, some guys that have experience, some guys that have played that cornerback position at a high level. So I'm not saying I want both of them. One or the other would be great. And then I guess I'll go to that linebacker position, that inside linebacker position, because that's we've talked about that ad nauseum here. And obviously I think Reuben Foster, he's there's no way he's coming back. So if we could bring in a guy like Levante David, Reggie Ragland from Detroit, I wouldn't mind either. He was a guy that I wanted to draft when he was coming out. So Reggie Ragland's a name that comes to mind. Those are I guess those are the 3 that not the top 3, but the 3 that come to mind right now and jump out at me as far as guys that I'd want to see, other than those skill positions that we talked about, the wide receiver. There's a tight end I'd have my eye on in the draft to kind of come in and be under and work under Logan Thomas. So I'll stay away from the tight end position because I do think we need an upgrade there. But so those are the 3 that aren't the obvious choices of those skill positions. What about you?
Yeah. Yeah, those are the obvious 3 of Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, Dak Prescott, the obvious ones that we know that everybody would want to go after. Is Stephon Gilmore, are they going to pay him in New England? I don't know if Stephon. I mean, that's an ace in the hole right there. You're talking about someone that can come down there and make an instant impact on a position that would not cost us any kind of draft currency. Then you're talking about Stephon Gilmore right there. I think that's one that I would love to see, especially as we see this cap space kind of improving very much. And again, somebody that would command in a regular market that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about going and getting guys that are just going to be out there, but guys that would be commanding a much higher deal that you can get at a bargain price. You know what I'm talking about? And that's where Stephon Gilmore is someone who's going to come out here and expect to be the highest paid cornerback in the league. I guarantee that his next deal is going to make him the highest paid cornerback in the league. And from that, it's interesting to see like someone like Kyle Van Noy as well. I mean, inside linebacker, 4-3 scheme. I shouldn't say inside linebacker, 4-3 scheme linebacker, a little bit more coverage. I mean, we say we want a new middle linebacker, but are we really solid on those outside linebackers? I think someone like Kyle Van Noy, an expatriate, someone who made an impact there on the the Dolphins, and has been coached well and coming in here and provide. We just lost Thomas Davis. Again, someone that's had a little bit more experience out there that can come and provide some leadership for some of these young guys on defense. I think that's someone I would like to see. Again, not going to break the bank. I think that with someone like that as well. And then keeping on, I want us to go back to the offensive side of the ball. I'm going to talk about those tackle positions, and I'm going to talk about someone that you're going to shake your head at instantly, but I'm going to tell you why, and that's Jason Peters. I think, and the reason why I don't want him to come in, and I want someone to come in and to play someone that can back up either side of the ball if he needs to. I don't want him to come in and be someone that we're relying to in that position. I'm not saying don't use that 19th pick if we can get a tackle on a tackle. I'm saying someone that can come in there and show these guys how to work, show what it takes to be a left tackle in the National Football League. And he's not going to come in and, again, expect a large amount of money, but we're going to have depth at position, depth and experience. It's a priceless commodity. We're not going to expect 16 games out of him. But again, it's just filling those holes and not having to use draft currency on things we can get for younger weapons and get people on these rookie contracts and really take advantage of that youth right now. So that's kind of 3 players that I'm kind of looking at.
The Jason Peters one, like he's a fine player, but I mean he's 39 years old. I mean he is old, like not even just like old by football standards, just like an old dude. I mean
It's almost
so
like a player line coach. You know what I mean? It's almost a specific left tackle coach.
Yeah, but see,
if needed, could jump in there and put the pads on and wreck a little shop in bursts. You know what I mean? If he's not sitting there taking the abuse all game long, he can do it a half game for you, or a little game stretch. I'm just thinking it's not only the depth you get with someone that you can rely on, but it's the ability to bring those other guys up around him.
So I'm looking here. He made just over $4 million last year with Philadelphia. I mean, I'd rather have Alejandro Villanueva, who made $6 million last year. I'd rather have him for $2 million more than Jason Peters. He's 33.
We're not going to have to pay him $4 million a year.
But that's what I mean. But it's probably around maybe 2.5, possibly 3. It's definitely going to be lower than that $4 million. But if we're going to spend the money, I'd rather it be on somebody that is a little bit younger and somebody that we could, like you said, he's not going to be a starter. So you're not going to expect him to play 16 games. But we've seen how our tackles can go down in the blink of an eye numerous times already. So then how are you going to, how is your backup to a position that's already kind of shaky as far as injury history, even raise bigger questions as far as injury history. So that's the only reason why I would kind of, like you said, shake my head at her or not really be all in for. I get what you're saying. The experience that he would bring would be, second to none. The value as far as knowledge and helping the young guys, especially if we are able to draft a young tackle, that would probably be invaluable. But as far as win now, try to make it into the playoffs now. If that's what you need is some leadership, then you can go and hire a different coach, in my opinion, and not count against the salary cap.
Well, you can hire a different coach, or you can have someone that's also going to be able to put the pads on if he needs to. Again, yeah. You gotta remember, who's the oldest guy on that line? Is it Morgan Moses, or is it Brandon Scherf, or on the offensive side of the ball? Who is the veteran presence that's going to help keep those guys together? And it's a leadership role that needs to be filled by somebody. Alex Smith's story was almost a leadership role there for a while for that offense.
Yeah.
So I mean, I just think that someone like that. Again, I'm not saying by no means go even spend $2 million on him. I'm saying give him a $1 million deal, maybe $2 million with incentives if he plays a lot. But again, you're getting somebody in there that you can just plug and play. And again, he played guard for them last year. You're talking about a veteran guy that can do all kinds of things in the back end of the line. Someone like that, I think you're not expecting a lot out of him. If your whole line collapses, you're screwed anyway. So I don't think that you're going to be worried about who's behind him. But just some people, I think that, again, we're not trying to talk about the fancy names, just low key things I think we can grab.
Yeah. No, I mean that's definitely one of them. Definitely a name that you wouldn't expect. I mean, I know that's somebody that we were going after. What was it, last year? We were hoping to sign to kind of boost up that offensive line. But I like I said, I get what you're saying, but I still am hesitant on it for sure. But
I don't agree on everything.
No, for sure, absolutely. Probably better that we don't.
Exactly.
Skip Bayless making $8 million a year to just disagree with everything Shannon Sharp says, But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I mean, so it's like I said, I think next week on Monday, we'll obviously have a clear picture of what's going to be able to happen. Like you said, there's probably gonna be more moves made between now and then anyway. On our own team of clearing up cap space and getting rid of some guys that we can probably move on without. One name that he's a free agent. It's just, funny. It's always, to bring up these types of names, but it happened with Kendall Fuller. What do you think about a Brashad Breeland reunion?
I wouldn't be. I mean, he plays well. I don't know if we're getting much about. I think if we wanted him, we could almost keep Ronald Darby. I think we're getting about the same production.
Yeah.
Someone that probably knows the scheme a little bit better. So, in my opinion, I think we'd rather just pay Ronald Darby a little bit more and keep him around.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's a name that I saw. He's a free agent, along with Quentin Dunbar and Josh Norman. So if you really wanted to have a reunion show, we really could. Another name.
Get the band back together. I love the saying. Let's get the band back together.
And in no way am I saying that's what we should do. I'm just saying like that it would be funny. It would be funny, but not funny because that wouldn't help our secondary much at all. One other guy that I forgot to mention earlier at corner. He's a younger guy, former first round pick. He's kind of had, I don't know about issues, but he's just kind of bounced around. But Vernon Hargraves, he's the guy that I really liked coming out of the draft when the Buccaneers took him. So he only made 1.3 million last year. If we can get him somewhere around there, 1.5, I would take him. I think he'd be a good slot corner for us. He could even play play behind Kendall Fuller in that second corner slot. But that's just another guy. Oh, Fabian Monroe, he's a free agent too. You want to talk about getting the band together? Jesus, criminy. I'm looking.
Fabian Monroe's still on our team.
I know it, but it just said right here. Where's he at? I thought, well, maybe was it Fabian Monroe? I swear I just saw him as I was scrolling. Oh yeah, Fabian Monroe. Yeah, he's a free agent. So that's what I'm saying. Bring everybody together. That'd be funny. Anyway, that's enough. That's enough of that there. We'll move over to our mock draft. Unless there's anything else on free agency you wanted to hit on before we moved on.
Justin, it's going to be a bloodbath next week, and it's going to be surprising. We're going to see some names, and we're going to all want all of them. It's going to be like one of those things. We just got to keep stick to the plan. We have a plan. We don't want just fancy names. We want players that are going to help our team.
Yeah, that's like one thing too about the Cardinals situation of signing J.J. Watt to $23 million guaranteed. That's kind of an early move with all the moves that are still left to be made. I mean, obviously, a team like that, like you want J.J. Watt, he adds value to your team, especially being on the other side of Chandler Jones and some of those other defensive spots. But to fork off that kind of money for a guy that early, is not questionable because, like I said, if you're able to do it, you do it. But you could get some guys that are a little more reliable as far as health and a little more production.
Or your own guy, Hassan Reddick, who I think is going to become a free agent, and they probably envision is going to leave. And I don't know if he would have commanded that much money, but he stayed on the field all year and led the team in sacks. So Chandler Jones did not. J.J. Watt did not. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to me, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe the DeAndre Hopkins influence probably came in there a little bit, but yeah. So I guess like I said, Monday's show and next
inmates running the asylum. We got inmates running the asylum.
Yeah, and I think that team's only going to go as far as Cliff Kingsbury can take them, no matter how talented they are. And unfortunately, I just don't think he's a very good head coach.
You better get somebody to block. You better get somebody to block Nick Bosa. That's what I'm talking about, and Solomon Thomas. And if you're going to win that division. That's all I'm. I don't care who you get on defense. You're not going to be able to stop. You got to think about stopping those guys who are going to destroy your little Ewok quarterback.
Jumping over to the draft. So a quick reminder every week, except for Monday, we obviously covering the Alex Smith situation in length. We go through, pick our, kind of go through our mock drafts, just exactly what we said it was. So far, I have Christian Darrisaw and Greg Norman in my first and second pick, or excuse me, Greg Newsome, corner out of Northwestern. Those are my first two picks thus far. Joey, you had Rashawn Slater and Baron Browning out of Ohio State, which, kind of that Baron Browning pick is looking a lot better the deeper and deeper we get into this. So I tip my hat to you for that, because that's been a good pick so far. So before we get into our third and fourth round pick, are you standing pat with your guys there?
I mean, sheesh, we can looking more and more like we're not getting a tackle at 19 the way these mock drafts are coming around. But, actually the one I did yesterday, the tackles were sliding back up again. So I was actually able to grab your tackle, but not mine. So, but yeah, I'm still sticking with. I'd love to see you get Slater that number 1 overall pick and Baron Browning at number 2. But I think you're switching your number 2, right?
I am. I am changing my number 2. I'm taking Greg Newsome off the board. Great player, and I think he could help us. But a spot that we've talked about ad nauseum, and a guy that I've mentioned here quite some time. More and more, he's creeping back up draft boards, and so I'm taking and putting Dylan Moses in that second spot, in that second round pick. He's now going to be my second overall pick, and I'll tell you why when we come to the fourth round. I told you on last Friday's show, that Greg Newsome wasn't going to be the only corner I drafted. Well, now the next corner that I'm going to draft, he will be he was supposed to be that second corner, but now look, he's going to be our only corner that I draft so far. But do you want to hit leadoff? You've been hitting leadoff so far. So if you're ready, you can go ahead and draft that third slot if you'd like.
There's a couple names that popped out to me as I did my mock draft. Actually, 3 of them, and that was obviously we didn't get the linebacker in the second round. It would be a linebacker, Justin Hilliard out of Ohio, another Ohio State guy. But I'm thinking we're gonna be able to get one before that. So that's not gonna pick. I'm gonna go with another guy I looked at was a playmaker, and this is another linebacker I should say out of LSU, and that's Jabril Cox. So
yeah,
based upon what happens in that second round, if we don't get one of those guys, obviously I'd love to have. We got to get a linebacker in these top 100 picks. I definitely believe we need to get one if we don't pick up somebody huge in free agency. So, barring we don't get who I want there, I think we definitely need to start getting ourselves a playmaker. And as I said earlier, when we're talking about possible cuts, I talked about a specific guy, Steven Sims, who has not just.
Man, if you pick the same guy, I think that I'm going to. This is going to be hilarious.
Is he out of Clemson?
Oh my God, yes. This is the guy that I've had my eye on from the jump. Oh my God, that's hilarious. Let's go, baby.
All right, so why don't you go ahead and it sounds like you have your eye on the jump. Why don't you talk about him a little bit?
So Amari Rodgers, 5'10", about 210, 215 pounds. Dude is a playmaker. A little smaller, but like you said, if we can get rid of Steven Sims, he can play that slot position flawlessly. He's a guy that I got to cover when he was a freshman, when T. Higgins was still the big dog over at Clemson, when they were here in Dallas playing against Notre Dame in the Cotton Bowl before they went on to eventually win the national championship. So it was a guy that I got to cover closely. Both him and Justin Ross were 2 guys that I had my eye on for this draft. Justin Ross is going back to school. But Amari Rodgers, I mean, he is a guy. He's a clean route runner. You get the ball to him in open space, he can make guys miss. For being 5'10", he's still he's pretty stocky. He's a jack dude. Go check out his Instagram. The dude, he's posting his combine workouts and things like that. Like, the guy is jacked. So he can take big hits. He can dish some hits out. But as far as making plays and being a playmaker, getting the ball in his hands and letting him work, he can run the deep route, no problem. He can run by guys too. So this is a guy that I've had my eye on from day one. I thought it might be in the 4th or 5th round. The closer and closer we got, it looks like it's going to have to be that 3rd round slot for him. But there was one other. Oh, what have we been talking about with players that we're pulling out of college and drafting onto here? What is the biggest mentality that we want?
Draft Alabama.
Well, but that kind of goes into it. But a winner's mentality, guys that are
Willer's mentality.
Guys that are used to winning.
Used to winning. Exactly.
Yeah. And so guys that are used to winning, guys that want to win, guys that want to perform at a high level. And this guy fits the bill at all sectors. And so Amari Rodgers looks like, I mean, that's funny. That's awesome that we were both locked in here, because we don't talk about our picks at all. I find out Joey's picks when he says them. He finds out my picks when I say them. And so that was hilarious. But yeah, I think this would be a perfect guy in this scheme, regardless of who's quarterback. As long as they can get the ball to him, obviously, that would help this team from day one. And so yeah, I guess that's our pick for both of us in that 3rd round.
So what, you got your next one ready for our pick number 8 picks later?
For 8 picks later, that's what, the 82nd pick, I believe.
82nd pick, yeah.
82nd.
I can go if you're not ready. It's up to you.
No, I'm ready, but you go ahead and hit it off. I already know who I'm going with.
All right, so far, we got ourselves a tackle. If it's going how Joey's draft is going, we got ourselves a tackle. We got ourselves a great, big, tall inside linebacker. Now we got ourselves a nice little playmaking wide receiver. So again, we're talking about earlier. I was talking about, you talked about it a lot. We talked about bringing the band back together, but for some reason, and a lot of reasons probably, we're not going to bring that band together. We do need to get cornerbacks. So you start looking again for cornerbacks in this round. One name that pops out at me, again, not the tallest. I mean, he's tall, 6'1", but out of Stanford is Paulson Adebo. Someone that can come in and be an instant starter. And make an instant impact on that offense. Especially if we're not paying Ronald Darby, someone that can play out the opposite side, Kendall Fuller. Again, a position of need. I think we would be great to take him right here. But I'm not going to take him. I think there's a better option here.
Okay.
I'm going to go a position that you didn't want to talk about. You said a little while ago. You had, maybe it wasn't the draft that you wanted to talk about it, but a tight end. And then I'm going to go over to
Yeah.
Boston College, and I'm going to go Hunter Long. I think this
Okay.
guy, 6'5", I think he had a ton of targets last year. I think he's led his team in targets. Someone that's used to having the ball in his hands and also can, block with that big size of his. You pair him opposite side, Logan Thomas, and build upon the season that he's had. You have yourself two great tight ends there. Just another weapon to whoever's behind, whoever's slinging the rock behind that offensive line. You bring in someone like Amari Rodgers. Now you're talking about Amari Rodgers, Terry McLaurin, J.D. McKissick. You're talking about Logan Thomas, and now you're talking about a guy like Hunter Long that can come in as well. That's not even talking about people like Kelvin Harmon and people that we don't, anybody else, that we're talking about on our team.
Yeah.
So I think that right there, our offense is taking that next giant leap.
Yeah, no, I agree. And so I got a little ahead of myself. I was checking out my mock drafts that I had. My corner that we're going to draft is actually going to be at that 120th pick or 121st pick, whichever it is that we have. But funny that it looks like we're right here because my pick is also a tight end here in this fourth round. But I'm going out to the U and drafting Brevin Jordan out of the U. He's a guy that can catch the ball. He can block. He was asked to block quite a bit in college, and so he's he's more of a receiving tight end, but he can block, and so he's a young guy that I think can be very versatile for in this passing game. If we go with two tight end set, he can play on the line. He can play in the slot. He can play off the ball a little bit, but he's a guy that he's a pass catcher. Again, he's not going to blow you away with speed, but he is in an easy comp might be, let's say an NFL comp might be like a Jordan Reed's just kind of coming to mind, obviously because he was a Miami guy, right? No, he was a Florida guy.
Florida guy.
But he similar size, similar, like I said, not very fast. The only difference is Brevin Jordan can block, and so that's one thing that jumps out at you because our blocking tight end Jeremy Sprinkle. Not the most reliable hands, not the most athletic, not the most agile, where Brevin Jordan, like I said, again, is more of that receiving tight end, but can block when needed to. Probably will have to help with double teams, probably not going to be able to take on a whole lot of NFL DNs one-on-one, but he's a guy that I think can add another weapon to our offense. And like you said, you look at adding guys, just weapons and playmakers, and I think he fits that bill once again in this slot, Brevin Jordan out of Miami.
All right. Well, there we go. It looks like we have very similar ideas as to how we want to build this team, which is good. And as you say, we do not discuss it. And I think it's just, out of familiarity with this team and exactly what this team needs. And that's, more playmakers, more options for the quarterback to be able to get, the ball out of his hands and have someone make plays for him. And make again, I hear a lot about, I was listening this morning on Good Morning Football about the Giants coach and talking about what they're going to do to help, what do they need to do to make Daniel Jones take that next leap? What do they need to put around him? And it's like, we need to make his job easier. He's making a lot of those mistakes because he's, pressing the ball out, and making bad decisions there. But the easier you can make that quarterback position by surrounding him with guys that can make plays by merely getting the balls in his hand, getting their balls in their hands, then it's going to be easier on you, which thus makes it easier on that defense, and then it just, butterfly effect there. So I'm glad we're seeing eye to eye here, leaving the third round.
Yeah, that's great. That's funny. It's funny how it works out that way. Because we've gone the same positions, just different players this whole way through. Obviously except for the third round, the whole way through. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in these later rounds. I'm thinking Monday maybe we just go 5, 6, and 7, just because those because we have 2 7th-round picks. Those guys are kind of just filler, taking a flyer on certain guys.
Yeah, we're just taking shots. Now we're just taking shots at people that we believe in. That we kind of think that. And someone I really wanted to throw. Even when you talk about going, and it looks more and more like he's going to be a second round guy. When you wanted to talk about thinking about changing that pick, is someone that's coming up the draft boards, and I'm sure you know a lot about him in your house because of the fandom there. But that's Kellen Bond out of Texas A&M, and 4-year starter. A guy that's used to start, used to having the ball in his hand. A lot like Justin Herbert. He's coming out with a lot like Justin Herbert type comparison. Someone that's wasn't obviously was someone that was a high prospect, but did not expect to have the season that he had the first year here in the NFL. As being the offensive rookie of the year. But so just keep an eye on that. If we don't make any big splashes as far as getting somebody else in that quarterback room. I would not be surprised to see someone like that jump to us in the second round. Just wanted to throw that out there.
In the second round?
He's that's where he's at now. That's where he's at now. I mean, they got some people. You know, Chris Sims has Mac Jones, or no. He has
Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson above Trevor Lawrence now.
Yeah,
and everyone
gets a lot of heat for it.
But he also caught. But he's the same guy that said Lamar Jackson was the best quarterback in that draft. When it comes to him talking, you know, he said a lot of crazy things. But when it comes to Chris Sims talking about quarterbacks, usually he's pretty accurate. You know, so I don't know. Say do with it what you will.
No, you're right. I'm trying to look it up. I feel stupid for not knowing this off the top of my head, but I know. Let's see. So obviously we have what other 74?
We're going to the fourth round next.
We're going to the fourth round. Yeah.
Pick 114.
Pick 114 is the fourth round. So I missed that up because we have 2 picks in the third round. So that's what I meant. So yeah. Monday we'll go 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have we've done our first 3 picks, or 4 picks, 2 in the third round. So that's what was screwing me up there. So yeah, so we'll go 4, 5, 6, 7. We'll finish it out with those last 4 picks going into Monday's show. We might have a lot to talk about as far as free agency. I think Friday's show next week will be heavy free agency talk, because that will really have the picture cleared up of where each team's going, what each team's plan is, and things like that. So it's gearing up to be a fun next couple weeks, and obviously all leading up to the draft. But it's like you said, the bloodbath is coming. We can see it. It's like the Shining when we see all that blood coming down the hallway. We're just waiting for it to come get us. Because
or it's like in Jurassic Park, like Jurassic Park when you have the cup of water, you just start. You see a little. You know that sucker's coming to get you, and it's gonna be crazy. Yeah. And you know, I was listening to Jalen Ramsey talk. I think it was this morning or yesterday. And you know, he's someone that knows a lot of NFL players. I don't know if you know that, but he's got a very good relationship with a lot. So when it comes to like he's almost like, I don't want to call him the gossip girl, but he's like the one that knows what's going on, you know, with a lot of the players going on in the league. And if he doesn't know, he's very, you know, he's not going to put everybody's business out there, but the way he says things, you can kind of know, you know, he pretty much knows. And he did say yesterday or today, I think it was this morning or yesterday, that Deshaun Watson has played his last game in a Texan uniform. So
yeah.
That to me, that was, you know, coming from, you know, the speculation, you know, can always say, but when it comes to someone who personally knows the player, and you know, it comes out and says a bold statement like that, to me that's a bold statement. That's either one of 2 things. We know that people can negotiate through the media. So that's it's saying, hey, you better do something drastically because that's where I'm at right now, or no matter what you do, it ain't gonna happen. So you better start accepting those calls.
No, absolutely. That's the other thing that I wanted to mention too, is there's the Jets GM said that, you know, they're not actively looking to trade Sam Darnold, but if the phone's ringing, he's going to answer it. So
he's definitely going to answer, and they're not going to draft
with the right. You think
they're drafting a quarterback? They're taking a quarterback. It's they're trying to value Sam Darnold. You know what I mean? They want someone to panic, and again, he's listening. So if you panic and call him with the right price, he's gonna take it. But yeah, I mean, I saw a hypothetical draft or a thing thrown up yesterday after the Deshaun Watson comments with Washington. You know, everyone says it was saying Tim Settle and Matt Ioannidis, and then our first and second round picks this year and next year for Deshaun Watson.
No. First and second round for the next 2 years? I don't think so.
That's what it'd take to get it done. I'm basically saying that's the level it's going to take to get Deshaun Watson done. So, I mean. And I think that we're underselling Tim Settle. I didn't realize how great he was this year in the snaps he felt. He was the highest rated interior defensive lineman by pass rush, getting 5 sacks with having I forget how much playing time he had. It was like next to nothing, and he had 5 sacks. So I mean we are stacked at defensive line. So I mean, as much as we want to keep that band together, I mean we have some people there that we can move if we want to bring in a high caliber talent. So. It's just, it was just interesting little tidbits I saw there, in the last couple of days.
And Tim Settle, you heard that name first right here on this podcast. Not to toot my own horn, but pat myself on the back real quick, because I like I said, that was a guy that I had my eye on, that I loved, and I thought he could be a good force for us. But so yeah, that's great. No, I think he could. That's why I would be fine with trading away Ioannidis, because we have that guy there. If we had to trade Deron Payne, I think I'd be okay with that, because when we have Ioannidis and Tim Settle. So Jonathan Allen, I think, is an untouchable. I think you can interchange.
I think Payne's before Ioannidis. I would take Ioannidis over Payne. I think Ioannidis is a different breed. He's one of those Justin Smith type different breed football players. Yeah. That just like guys just, I don't know what it is. He's just fear. I mean, he's the strongest guy on that line. And so I think that's someone that just comes in there and brings that line up. And I don't think he's had a chance to work enough with Chase Young. And I think that is a deadly combination right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a fair point, because he's also one of those guys we drafted like in the 5th round, right? So he's like maybe playing with a chip on his shoulder a little bit, showing, hey, you guys slept on me. So you always love to have guys like that for sure. Maybe we'll.
And I have his jersey. I have a Matt Ioannidis jersey.
Yeah. Was it? Did it used to be an Arakpo one?
Yes, it was. It was a rack. Yeah. It was one of those transformers, So it's like my Alex Smith. My Alex Smith was a Deshaun Jackson. Then it was not Alex Smith.
Yeah. Yep. That's funny. But all right. Well, that'll do it for us here. As always, make sure you're subscribed here on YouTube. Allies Behind Enemy Lines podcast. Subscribe, ring that notification bell. Find us anywhere you can find your podcast: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Allies Behind Enemy Lines. Check us out on Twitter @AlliesBEL, on Facebook, Allies Behind Enemy Lines. All our shows are posted there as well, on our both on our Facebook and our Twitter. So you can always catch the YouTube link there. But until Monday, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll see what happens. Joey, have a great weekend. We'll see you guys then, man.